Smaulgld. Hello and welcome to another Smaulgld live stream. Today is Wednesday, September 26th, 2018. Today we're going to be talking about how big are Turkey's silver imports and Turkey's silver mining production. Some very interesting data I have for you, and of course we've got the full battery of charts to take a look at. First, let's take a look at gold and silver today and the price action, followed by the gold-silver ratio and how it was impacted today by today's price action. Let's take a look at the gold price first. Your gold price opened at $12.01 and 55 cents, and during the day it managed to get as high as $1,202 and 31 cents, and it closed at $11.95 and 12 cents, and right now in the aftermarkets it's at $11.95 and 70 cents. Pretty much a flat day, headed down most of the day. It dropped after the Fed meeting and the Jerome Powell press conference when they didn't have any surprises. I listened to the press conference, read the release. They raised interest rates now for the 8th time. They're at 2 to 2.25. They removed the accommodation, they say officially now, although given that they have been raising interest rates, you would say they've already removed the accommodation, that they feel comfortable now that they can, quote, normalize the monetary policy and continue to raise rates. And they say they're going to do that at a gradual rate so they can keep an eye on what's going on, but they feel very comfortable with the rate of inflation, with the job market, and how the economy is doing. They even said that the tariffs right now are not at the level of a trade war. Jerome Powell said that the tariffs may eventually lead to a reduction in tariffs, which may be a good thing for the economy. He said, however, if inadvertently they led to a permanent setting up of trade barriers, then that would be bad. Otherwise, I would say no surprises. The Fed is on its normalization path, and they're saying they're going to go slow. Silver, let's take a look at what happened in the silver market today. It was pretty much the same, although the last couple of days, silver has been performing slightly better than gold, which is giving it somewhat of an improvement on the gold-silver ratio. Not much. But today, the silver price opened at $14.46, scrambled all the way up to $14.49, and dropped down to $14.30, pretty much on the release of the Fed minutes, I would say around 2:30, and the Jerome Powell presser started around that time, 2:30, and went up and then went back down and closed at about $14.34. And today it's at about, aftermarket, $14.35. Before we get into our Turkish scene, let's take a look at the cryptocurrencies. Had a bit of a up and down day. Bitcoin was pretty much flat at 64.63. Bitcoin Cash somehow rose 16%. I didn't see the news in it. There's got to be something. It's at $513. That went up a few hours ago pretty significantly. Ethereum flat at 214. Same with Litecoin, flat at 57.25. Ethereum Classic flat at $11. Now, let us take a look at Turkey's silver. Now, we've talked in the past about Turkey's gold, and I like to make a distinction between a country's gold, and meaning what's in the country, what's owned by the different people within the country, and then what's owned by the central bank. And there's a big discrepancy there, and we talk about India. India imports a lot of gold. India imports 900 to 1,000 tons of gold every year, but its central bank only holds less than 600 tons. And we've talked about how there's 18 to 22,000 tons of gold in India, but again, only 600 tons or less at the central bank. Well, Turkey's no different. Turkey has about, maybe, depends on, they probably have 450 tons at all the banks at Turkey, but the central bank has about 250, 280 tons. But in the country, obviously, Turkish citizens got tons of gold. And this chart you're looking at here shows you that this year alone they've imported 174 tons. It's not going to the government. It's not going to the central bank. Last year was a big year, biggest year probably ever, 360 tons. So you can see Turkey imports a lot of gold. Turkey is also a very large, well, not very large, but is the largest gold production in Europe. If you can count Turkey in Europe, I think the mines are probably in the Asian part of Turkey, but they consider Turkey part of Europe. And again, it has the largest amount of gold mining. Now, silver, these were the surprises. We don't really talk much about Turkish silver imports or Turkish silver mining production, but there's a lot of interesting things going on with Turkey and Turkey silver imports. The first chart I'm going to show you, you're going to say, so what? I'm not impressed. Why are you showing me this chart? There's not much there. So Turkey imported 5 tons in July. It's a big deal. 1 ton in June. So why are you showing me this? Well, there's that 47 tons in April, but I'm not impressed. So why are you talking about Turkey? Well, Turkey actually is a very significant player in the silver import and also in the silver mining production. You may be surprised to learn that Turkey has one of the largest silver mines in the world. Place is called, I can't pronounce, I'm going to try to pronounce it, Gumgoskoy, and it means silver village. Let's take a look at some of these numbers. Now that silver mine is quite large, and we're going to go through some of the numbers in that silver mine, but let me just show you. See, I showed you this year the silver imports. They don't look that impressive, but that's, I would say this year they've had a rough time. But now I'm going to show you Turkish silver imports since 1995. Now, these imports are very impressive. You can see this year alone, not the last couple of months, but 133 tons so far. But since 2013, you're seeing months, years of 220 tons or more being brought into the country. Now you say 220 tons, what's the big deal? Well, that is a big deal because 220 tons of silver is, or 228 tons, is 73 million ounces. 73 million ounces of silver going into Turkey in 2013. 73 million ounces of silver going into Turkey in 2014. In 2015, 84 million ounces. In 2016, 86 million ounces. So you're looking at twice the production of a record year of American Silver Eagles pouring into India. And you say to yourself, what's India doing into Turkey? What is Turkey doing with all that silver? Don't they have their own domestic mining production? Oh, yes, they do. We're going to get into that in a second. But just reflect on the fact that Turkey imports 70, 80, 90 million ounces of silver every year for the past 6-7 years. That's 250 tons about on average of Turkish silver imports. Okay, now let's take a look at how they do on a monthly basis. Now that shows you it smooths it out annually, but some months Turkey will import 55 tons. That was back in 2015. And just to give you an idea what 55 tons is in 1 month, that is 17.6 million ounces. So Turkey is no slouch when it comes to pulling silver into the country. We know about their gold consumption. It's quite surprising to see them be this big of a player in the silver market. Now, unlike India, which doesn't have much in the way of silver production, Turkey actually does. And I'm going to show you that Turkey, according to the USGS and mining.technology, and also looking at a royalty company, Turkey is a significant silver miner. And depending on which documents you look at, they're either in the top 10 or top 13 silver producing nations. And they claim that this mine called Gomorsky is the 3rd or 7th largest silver mine in the world. And remember, Gomorsky means silver village. And they estimate that this mine may have 100 or 335 million ounces of silver, and that last year or in recent years they have been pulling out 10-15 million ounces of silver a year out of that mine. That's 300 or so tons. So they're pulling a lot of silver out of that mine, and they have other mines in the country. But let's take a look now at, according to the USGS, how much silver they are pulling out of the ground. First, we'll look at those imports. Wait, you got to pull up the import here. Well, we've seen the imports. You want to see the production. Here are the production numbers of Turkish mines. In 2010, I only have 4 years worth, and it's 2010 to 2014. But you can see that the Turkish silver imports, along with their mining production, is up to 400 tons. Now, 400 tons of silver is about 128 million ounces. Let me show you another chart that shows the combined in a stack form. Like this one is showing you Turkish silver imports and Turkish silver production. And in 2013 and 2014, the silver imports and the production were almost 200 tons each. So it's not like they're importing silver because they don't have any production. It looks like they're importing in addition to what they produce. So if you take a look here, you see when the imports were low, they had decent production, so they probably didn't want to add too much. As the production came down in 2012, 13, and 14, it looks like they then supplemented their silver demand with additional imports. And then if we go back to the chart I was showing you where you combine Turkish silver imports with Turkish mining production, and you're looking at something pretty impressive there. You're looking at 383 tons in 2010, 288 tons in 2011, 2012 when you add them up you're at 335 tons, 2013 you're at 417 tons, and in 2014 you're at 410 tons. So combined silver mining production and imports in India, and that'll gobble up 131 million ounces of silver. Now we saw how India could gobble up over 250 million ounces of silver, but we haven't really been paying much attention to Turkey because that's about 15-20% of global silver mining production. So Turkey is a sleeper, I would say, in the silver arena, meaning that it imports a lot of silver and it produces a surprising amount of silver, especially from that one mine. All right, well, that's about it. I just wanted to go through the silver demand and production for Turkey. A lot of people don't cover that. And it looks like we don't have many comments tonight. We've only got 2. Cody says, damn. And Black Swan asks, did we just start? Well, not much to say about those 2 comments. We started at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, as we do every night. And I don't know what Cody was talking about when he said, damn. but could be the big Indian, big Turkish silver imports and Turkish mining production. All right, that about does it for tonight. I want to thank you for joining me, and we'll see you again tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. And then also, please check us out on BitChute, on Minds.com, Gab.ai, Twitter, Facebook, Google+, and of course, Smaulgld.com, where all these charts will be shown much nicer or easier to see on the website. Thank you very much.